Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out February 25th, 2016, but it's still very relevant, especially in today's climate. Why blacks and Hispanics have such expensive mortgages. We have always been targeted by banks to have the higher interest rates, and sometimes you can have the same income as a white couple, but they will always get the better interest rate. And, it's all due to what we know as racism in America. Um, and let's just get a little bit into this article. Despite the housing bust and its lasting implications, owning a home nevertheless remains one of the most common ways for American families to build wealth, white families predominantly. The home ownership rates for blacks and Hispanic Americans lag dramatically behind that of whites. And that's because they've been practicing all types of discriminatory practices in banking in America. We know redlining came from the banks, and it's still practiced to this day. These minority groups are much less likely to purchase a home. If they do, they are um, less likely to have homes that appreciate in values. They're also more likely to lose their homes through foreclosure. These gaps help explain, in part, the staggering disparity in wealth between whites and people of color. The reason for this are not solely practice of the recent past, such as redlining. Today, home loans are consistently more expensive for blacks and Hispanic buyers than they are for white buyers. Why? Because banks and other lenders direct these groups towards high risk, high price products. The result, in part, that blacks and Hispanics are less likely to own homes in general. And additionally, that when they do obtain home loans, those loans are often more expensive and risky proposition. Think of subprime loans that tank the housing market, which can increase the chance of financial ruin and default. And yeah, and they also tried to blame that all on black people. But that subprime lending was solely the banks that did those things out here. And it didn't just cause a lot of blacks and Hispanics, but also a lot of white people lost their homes too during the housing bubble. Why is it why is this happening? Well, that's because blacks and Hispanics are usually targeted for risk financial products. And it should not be that way. If you have good credit established and you have a good record of paying your bills on time, you should not be put into a riskier category. But we are by default just for, who and what you are, which is completely wrong, but that's how things are played in this country. Okay. Perhaps these differences stem not from borrowers' race, but from their worse financial circumstances. A reason some would say justifies the higher rate. No, it's racism, y'all. It's racism. In fact, I have seen this even among family and friends that, I have relatives that where the husband and wife both had good credit, but they still practice these high financial interest rates and all types of things on black people. And I have seen it. I have seen it. So don't come here trying to challenge it and act like we don't know what we're talking about. Many of us know people in our own family and friends that have been treated far different than white couples that buy houses. According to the study's author, the economist Patrick Bayer, Fernando Freire, and Stephen L. Ross, race and ethnicity were among two of the key factors that determined whether or not a borrower would end up with a high cost loan when all other variables were held equal. According to them, even after controlling for general risk consideration, such as credit score, loan to value ratio, subordinate liens, and debt to income ratio. Hispanic Americans are 78% more likely to be given a high cost mortgage, and Black Americans are 105% more likely. See, I mean, like I said, I have seen black couples and even black single people that had good credit, and they still ended up with these high interest rates. And yes, it is and it continues to be built on racism. Everything in this country is about race. I don't care how much they keep coming talking about race cards and everything else. Then my answer to you is your whole goddamn system is a race card. From the time you step foot on the soil from Europe all the way to now, it's been one big race card. And it sure didn't start with black people. It didn't start with us. These practices go on, ladies and gentlemen, because this whole society was built on race. Okay? And racism will be the very thing that will destroy America. You can count on it. Please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. And don't forget to hit on that notification bell. Please join me over on Black Junction TV and blackspot.com. Peace, family.